standing here at the Showboat Branson Bell.
Hey, don't keep moving. I
was standing on something that was...
Move that way just a little more, because I'm getting the...
I got you.
33 people behind you so we don't see them.
Trent Burr. You know what, I'll just say...
And now from KOLR 10, breaking news.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. We will be beginning with breaking news out of the Branson area tonight, where a, quote, mass casualty incident is underway on Table Rock Lake.
We've confirmed that a Ride the Ducks tour boat has capsized on Table Rock Lake. 31 people were on board. We are told there are several casualties. Our Crystal Blair, who is based in Branson as one of the only Tri-Lakes television reporters there in the area, she was one of the first out there on the scene tonight. Crystal, what are you learning from Sheriff Doug Rader there tonight?
Well, right now, the sheriff says that there are 31 confirmed fatalities, and we do not, or I'm sorry, 31 people were on the boat. We do not know how many people were killed, but he did tell us that there were children on that boat. So right now, they're trying to find out how many people are left in the water, because we're told that they are still in that water. As of 15 minutes ago, As of about 15 minutes ago, the boat was still capsized on Table Rock Lake. The sheriff told us this happened around 7:30, and I asked him if it had anything to do with the storms. He is not confirming that, although he believes it did have something to do with the storms. Now, we do have a witness who saw everything happen. His name is Trent Burr.
Tried getting her in there, and we started pulling her up, and I was yelling for people to get CPR and all these other things, and none of them knew. So I know CPR, so I was ready to go, but I kept yelling, we need to get CPR, and we finally pulled her back up there. And a gentleman, I believe he was an EMT, started CPR, and then they cleared us out.
Now, that gentleman who you just heard said that he was not moving on the Branson Bell, but they had just docked, and the duck boat had just gone out into the water. It wasn't that far away from him when he said it capsized, and he saw a couple of people come up under the boat, and just a very sad situation. We are waiting to get more information from the sheriff, who said that he would be giving us updates throughout the night. So please stay with KOLR 10 News. We will be bringing you that information as it becomes available. Reporting live in Stone County, Crystal Blair, KOLR 10 News, Ozarks.
Crystal, stay with us right now if you would. We're going to ask you a question, but I do want to get something on the air real fast. We just got a confirmation from a woman who we know, who used to be an employee of KOLR 10, who now works for the hospital in Branson, which is Cox, right? It used to be Skaggs, of course. And they are confirming they are treating 6 patients at Cox in Branson, 3 under the age of 18, 3 adults, all minor injuries related to being in the water tonight. So again, they've got 6 people at Cox Branson, 3 under the age of 18, 3 adults, and minor injuries. So that's at least some good news with regard to those people right there at Cox tonight.
Crystal, while we have you there as well, can you describe the scene that is happening right now where you are?
Yes, right now emergency vehicles are still on the scene. If you look behind me, you can see a few of the lights there, and they're not letting us get to the water right now. We wanted to get a little bit closer so that we could get some shots for you, but they kind of have barriers set up so that we can't get to the water. But just a few minutes ago, there were some people who had family members on the boat that were waiting frantically, and then a few other people who were actually on and got out of the water safely that just walked away. As you would imagine, a lot of rattled nerves tonight.
We've been trying to make this clarification and this point, Crystal, for people who are watching us, that you guys are staging in an area down there that's the Showboat Branson Bell parking lot. This does not involve the Showboat Branson Bell. You're simply the staging area down there. I'm going to ask you one more question. Can you see, is that boat still capsized? Is it even in the water? Has it sunk at this point? Can you see anything from your vantage point?
Now, from where I'm standing, we cannot see anything because of all the trees. However, when we talked to Sheriff Rader about 30 minutes ago, he did tell us that the boat was still capsized and that it was sunk. So.
Okay. Crystal Blair on the scene for us live tonight. We also want to mention that the video that you saw roll over Crystal earlier while she was describing the scene was from Southern Stone County Fire Protection District. They are also on the scene there at Table Rock Lake. They did post some video, and we can see, here it is again, of some rescue boats rather on Table Rock Lake.
We know there are divers on the scene. Obviously, one thing working in the favor of the people that are affected here tonight, the water's not terribly cold. It's a sad situation. A lot of people are posting on social media about praying tonight, and that is obviously a feeling a lot of people are sharing right now. We do know that a woman who is related to someone who works at KOLR10 happened to be on the showboat Branson Belle tonight as a tourist, and she was there when all this went down, and she took some video of what was happening there on the showboat as this was going down. And on the shore there, you see crews are attending to people who were likely rescued from the capsized Ride the Ducks boat there. Our witness, who is again related to someone who works at KOLR10, was on the showboat Branson Belle, said she saw the Ride the Ducks boat go over. She saw it herself, and she's sharing this video now from the scene where obviously things are pretty chaotic tonight. And
again, just to recap you on what we were following tonight, at least 31 people on board a Ride the Ducks boat on Table Rock Lake when around 7:30 this evening it capsized. We know that this is a multiple fatality situation that authorities are working down there right now. Several people also, we got the update from the hospital.
Yeah, we did. We've got 6 people who are at Cox, which of course used to be Skaggs, it's now Cox, in Branson. 3 adults, 3 minors under the age of 18. They're saying those were all minor injuries tonight. But we do know that Southern Stone County is calling this a mass casualty incident, but we don't know the threshold at which they call it that. We don't know if that means 4 or more. We don't know the number, so that's information we're still trying to get tonight. Obviously, this may have been affected by the storm that rolled through. Jamie showed us the wind power. The sheriff's not saying that yet, but we do know there's other damage from these massive storm winds that came through the Ozarks tonight. We've got damage all over the place. We're going to show you some video of that.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at some storms from across the Ozarks right now. We have strong winds that topple trees. This is at Lone Pine and Seminole right now.
Yeah, this is over there kind of on the southeast side of town, where you got a lot of very large, mature trees that are very tall there. So you get those kind of winds coming through that part of Springfield off of Lone Pine, and you're going to get some down trees there for sure. That is indeed the case there. We're going to move over and show you some other damage right now. This is the Roundtree neighborhood. Of course, a lot of very tall, old historic trees over there that are going to be susceptible to those heavy winds, because we know that at one point tonight we had some wind gusts of perhaps 70 miles an hour coming through some of these areas here in Springfield. Heather.
Yeah, and just not too far from this scene in downtown Springfield, take a look at this picture of the building here. Storms blew off the roof. This was a building downtown being remodeled. It had a roof on it. Of course, the wind just peeled it back really and caused some damage. This was in the 500 block of West McDaniel.
Power outages, too, a big concern for a lot of local utilities tonight. We're going to show you, this is the city utilities map right now. The purple shaded areas mean you've got between 1 and 50 customers out there. Yellow, 50 to 499. Orange, 500 to 999. So a lot of widespread power outages, perhaps not a lot of numbers with more of the purple there. Some of the electric co-ops that are serving Ozarks customers as well, if we can go to that next map right now, it'll also show you there are some affected areas there. Again, widespread power outages. Perhaps it looks like, Jamie, is that Stone or is that, that's Taney, the orange, I couldn't tell. That's Taney down there in the orange, so they've got a lot of power outages that are being dealt with by co-op crews serving Ozarks customers tonight.
And as we bring you this weather coverage tonight, we actually received a lot of calls in our newsroom about hearing tornado sirens that were going off in the area. This wasn't a tornado warning event.
And we think of sirens as being tornado sirens, but they're really not. I mean, they're a siren, it's a civil defense siren. I mean, it could be any, major thing that the city needs to be warned about. In this case, it wasn't because they were concerned about tornadoes, it was because they were concerned about very, very strong winds that would impact a very large area. In fact, we had a peak gust of 74 miles miles per hour out at the airport, at the National Weather Service there. And it was that kind of wind energy that was making its way into Springfield. And that's why they were concerned that there could be excessive amounts of not only strong winds, but wind damage. And they went ahead and sounded those sirens, because even though these are straight line winds and not technically a tornado, because of the widespread and very strong nature of these winds, there was a very strong likelihood that there were going to be trees knocked down, tree limbs knocked down, and that there was going to be a lot of danger presented to the public across Springfield.
We hear those sirens, Jamie, again, this can be just because we've got heavy winds. I remember the derecho we had several years ago. I don't recall the sirens at that morning, but maybe they did. Maybe they were sounded.
Their threshold is 75 miles per hour, so we were right there, looking at wind gusts maybe of 70 to 80 miles per hour moving into Springfield. So they felt like that warranted sounding those sirens and letting people know this was a serious situation.
And Jamie, while we have you here, I also want to mention the incident that's going on at Table Rock Lake happened about the same time that these storms rolled through. The sheriff believing that the storms had something to do with this.
You guys mentioned 7:30. 7:30 seems a little bit late in terms of when the actual gust front went across that area. But the winds aren't just strong with the leading edge. The winds remain strong even behind that leading edge or gust front. And it looks like they probably had winds down there on the order of 55 to 65 miles per hour, at least in gusts.
We know that Southern Stone County was on the scene down there right after 7. So it probably would have been a little bit earlier when those strongest winds came through. We've got some photo galleries that people have been submitting pictures on through our website tonight, ozarksfirst.com, and our Facebook page as well. See the trees down. You know, we've come to expect this when this happens, and you get some of these older areas of town where you've got these very mature, very tall trees. They're going to be susceptible to these high winds that we have come through the Ozarks tonight.
And although we didn't get any tornadoes here in the Ozarks, up north in Iowa, just incredible video coming out. Several videos popping up online from our affiliates there showing tornadoes near the town of Bondurant. This is incredible video from our CBS affiliate in Des Moines showing tornadoes just moving through a neighborhood. If you get close enough, some of these videos, you can actually see debris flying around as well. Multiple tornadoes reported there with widespread damage.
This video here we're going to show you coming up shows tornadoes ripping through homes. You see the power transformers blowing there. It's just, it's hard to watch that sometimes, obviously. And finally, we're going to show you some of the damage from the storms as well there in Iowa. Cars piled up. That's very reminiscent to me of what I saw in Joplin many years ago. I mean, you just cars on top of cars and buildings torn to shreds there. No word on how much damage the tornadoes there in Iowa caused, but obviously those assessments will be coming in tomorrow.
And we have had a lot going on in the way of news and weather tonight, so make sure that you are up to date minute to minute. You can download our free KOLR10 News app to get alerts sent straight to your phone.
And of course, we're going to be following the developing breaking situation with perhaps mass casualties involving a capsized Ride the Ducks boat at Table Rock Lake tonight, with much more information coming up as we learn it here at KOLR10.
weather coverage right now. We want to take a look at a time-lapse video of the quick-moving storms that rolled in this afternoon. Just incredible. This was shot by a GoPro from our photojournalist Eric Reedus tonight.
And obviously things moved in quickly. I know when we got off the air at 6:30, I ran out in front of the station, and it was windy here. The main wind gusts had already come by us here on East Division. But, you know, again, we're waiting to get some confirmation as to how these storms may have affected what is unfolding down at Table Rock Lake tonight with the capsized Ride the Ducks boat there, Jamie. I mean, we knew this was going to happen, but I think maybe a lot of folks were taken by surprise tonight, too.
Well, the line of storms sort of gradually organized over southeast Kansas, made its way into southwest Missouri, and it was really right as the line was beginning to approach Greene County, as it was approaching areas like Walnut Grove and Ash Grove, that's when I really started to see a very strong signature for damaging winds. There was a surge in the line that was indicative that strong winds were starting to move out ahead of the main line of storms, and that's also when I started to see on our velocity data that we were starting to see winds, at least estimated by radar, of 60 to 80 miles per hour in that swath that was moving toward the Springfield area. Here's a look at our situation right now. You can see the severe weather threat has, for the most part, ended for the area. We still have a little bit of that line of severe storms making its way across north central Arkansas. That will make its way into Sharp County, and then we will be done with this line of severe weather. There's still going to be some potential for additional showers and isolated thunderstorms later on tonight. I'll get to that in a second. Here's a look at the radar loop of that line of severe storms as it was making its way across Greene County. And you can see that little bulge in the line right there as it goes back to the beginning of the loop. That is what I was talking about. That surge came with some very strong winds, winds that were estimated to be approaching maybe 80 miles per hour. This was a little off the surface, but a lot of that wind energy was making its way down to the surface, and we had a report of a 74 mile per hour gust out of the National Weather Service office. Now down in Branson, it was a similar scenario. That line had matured. The winds were not as strong as what we experienced here in Springfield, but they were still strong. We likely had winds on the order of 55 to 65 miles per hour, and you can see it right there, that gust front blasting across the Branson area, blasting across Table Rock Lake, generating some very strong winds there. And the result of this line of severe storms, which, if you want the technical term, is called a progressive derecho, generate a lot of wind damage and a lot of strong wind reports, which extended from Kansas all the way southeast across southwest Missouri and the north central areas of Arkansas. Now, additional showers and thunderstorms are continuing to bubble up across southeast Kansas. Oftentimes when you get a line like this, it's going to leave behind a boundary, and we have a boundary about right in here. And so with air trying to move up and over the top of that shallow boundary at the surface, it's generating some spotty showers and isolated thunderstorms. So there is going to continue to be a risk of at least some more shower and thunderstorm activity. This is actually good news because the line of storms that came through, it generated a lot of wind, but not much rain. So we need more rainfall. We should have more opportunity at much needed rainfall throughout the overnight hours. Now, I think things will go quiet on Friday. They'll get very hot. And then as a cold front presses south across southern Missouri and into northern Arkansas, we should find additional storms firing up along the front. And those too could be severe with damaging wind and hail. Here's a look at our hour-by-hour forecast for tonight. Again, there will be that risk for additional scattered shower and thunderstorm activity, primarily over southwest Missouri and in northwest and north central Arkansas. Things go quiet tomorrow morning, and then additional storms will fire up near that front as it pushes south across the area. It looks like our rain chance is coming to an end Friday evening. Temperatures tonight cooling off into the low 70s. I'm going to go ahead and lower my low to, it looks like about 71 in Springfield. Temperatures tomorrow, again, if we can get some sun during the day, which I think we will, very hot. 97 in Springfield, but up near 100 across northwest Arkansas, and a 6 on our color. And the pattern after Friday, after this active stretch of weather, will go quiet. It looks like we'll find lower humidity moving in by Saturday. It'll still be hot in the afternoon, but the mornings will be comfortable. The bad news is we need rainfall, and it looks like things are going to get dry and stay dry deep into next week.
Okay, and what's our Viewers Club number tonight?
That number tonight is 137-982, and our jackpot stands at $700.
All right, on the way, why domestic violence can sometimes increase in the summer months after this quick break.
Want to get to some more local news for you tonight. As the summer months heat up, so does the increase in domestic violence calls. According to Harmony House, a domestic violence shelter in Springfield, staff has seen a 15% increase in clients just this month.
Yeah, it's more than any other time of the year now for the past 3 years. KOLR10's Bria Douglas tells us why tonight that summertime can be a contributor to family violence.
If there's one thing Lisa Farmer, executive director at Harmony House, knows, it's that the heat doesn't always bring out the best in people.
When we're hot, we tend to be more irritable and cranky. So it's the heat. There's more stressors in the summer.
Staff at the domestic violence shelter see a 40 to 50% increase in clients during the summer and fall months. Farmer says the hot weather mixed with more family interaction can contribute to violence.
Kids being home from school, there's more social activity that often involves alcohol. And so all of those things can combine to increase domestic violence or make it worse. It doesn't cause it.
Don't fall to violence. Step back and think about what you're saying, think about what you're doing. Calm down, maybe step away from the situation for a little bit. Time usually helps to settle a person down, to make them think a little more rationally.
Words of advice from Lieutenant Coley Wilson with Springfield Police on how to de-escalate a potential violent situation in the heat of the moment. He too says the department routinely sees an increase in domestic violence calls during the summer months.
This is a 6-year average. For example, November, the average for that 6 years was 227 calls for service, which were for domestic violence. That was in November. Comparing that to July, 255 for July was the average for those 6 years. So 30 more calls average in July compared to November.
Over at Harmony House, Farmer and her team stays ready to help victims of domestic violence, especially when the summer can cause more rooms to fill up.
Trying to accommodate as many people as we can.
That was our Bria Douglas reporting. And if you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship and needs shelter, the 24-hour Harmony House hotline is 417-864-7273.
All right, we have more news on the way. An old river relic in the Ozarks has a new lease on life. We'll tell you about that next. But first, this week's Ozarks hero.
Get out of here, dude.
Is the same
Huh?
wall that you had for the tag, is it the same for the intro?
No, the intro is a map.
No, the intro is a map.
Reporter, it doesn't matter. You can do a reporter wall, preferably full wall.
Hold on.
Okay. I said reporter wall in the script. Is it the small? Is it the small thing or is it the full? I think I put reporter wall in the script. Can you make it the full wall? That would be clutch.
We want to get back to our top story and breaking news at this hour that a Ride the Ducks boat has capsized. Here's an update.
Sheriff, how many people do you believe are still looking for at this time?
We do not know exactly.
And the people that were taken to the hospital, what are their injuries like at this time?
I do not know.
Can you confirm the boat capsized because of the weather?
I believe it was caused by the weather, yes.
Okay. Was the boat doing anything out of the ordinary to your knowledge that would make it more vulnerable to sudden wind?
Not that I know of.
Do you know what time the boat left the dock?
I do not.
And the boat turned over and sank, is that what happened?
That is correct. It capsized and sank.
Do you know if all the fatalities and injuries are believed to be because of drowning?
Yes. I believe so, yes.
I just wasn't sure if somebody like fell off the boat or hit their head or something like that.
Yeah.
Were you able to rescue anybody without any injuries?
There was actually a Stone County Sheriff's deputy on the boat. He was in the water rescuing people. There was also some of the staff from Branson Bell, I believe, and trying to help the rescue.
Sheriff, could you kind of just recap again? We just went live and let us know again what you just said briefly.
At this time, we have 8 confirmed fatalities. 7 have been transported by TCAD. And that's pretty much where we're at right now.
You said that the dive teams are Taney County dive team.
The Western Taney County dive team's in the water right now. The Missouri Highway Patrol dive team is on their way here.
Is the boat still in the water now?
The duck is still in the water, yes.
When you say in the water, is it sunk or is
It's sunk.
Okay.
I don't know for sure how deep it is where the duck is at.
But the confirmed fatalities were from drowning?
I believe so, yes.
Any idea how old the boat was?
I do not.
How big of an area are you guys searching at this point?
That's up to the dive team, and I said when the Highway Patrol dive team gets here, that'll all be up to them.
You said a deputy was on the boat. Was he there for recreation, or was he part of the?
We produce off-duty security on the Branson Bell.
Given you don't know how many people you're looking for necessarily, how challenging is that for dive teams?
It's going to be a challenging night and tomorrow.
Are you in contact with the company that owns the duck?
Yes.
Have they given any response to you so far? Or?
We were working on them, trying to coordinate, like I said, any family member. City Hall. If you're missing a family member, or if you was on the duck, City Hall.
Can you confirm, Sheriff, if any of the fatalities were children?
I'm not going to say at this time.
Is this still considered a rescue mission, supposed to recovery?
Rescue and recovery, yes. Any other questions?
Not this time. Thank you, Terry.
Okay. Thank you.
You've been listening to a live press conference there with Sheriff Doug Radar, who does say there are 8 fatalities confirmed, 7 people transported. We know there were 31 on board, so we've got 16 people, I'm guessing, who are unaccounted for at this point.
That's right, and we'll be right back with more information.
County.
Okay, we're both in our light. There you go.
Can you tell Robert, don't say everything that I'm going to say in the in the intro, because then I won't have. Okay, good. He heard.
So we're back live covering that breaking news on Table Rock Lake, where a Ride the Ducks boat has capsized and people have died tonight.
We just heard in a news conference, Crystal Blair is live on the scene from us. Crystal, what did you learn in that news conference?
Well, Heather and David, what we did not want to learn, and that's 8 people dead. There were 31 altogether on the Ride the Ducks boat. 8 are dead, 7 injured, taken to the hospital. He would not confirm if any of the ones who have died are children. He did say this, though, that Western Taney County dive teams are still in that water. The boat is still in the water, and it has sunk. Now, if you're a family member who had someone on the boat and you want to know what happened, you can go to Branson City Hall. They have set up a post there for anyone missing a family member. Reporting live in Stone County, Crystal Blair, Color 10 News, Ozarks First.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Crystal, and ask you a question because you were there and heard. Maybe you didn't hear this answer or not. Sure. We have 8 fatalities. We've got 7 transported, 31 confirmed on board. That means 16 people that we're talking about right now. Do we know, are some okay on the shore? Do we know if they're missing? Did he say anything about the other 16 people involved here?
Now, that's the question that we wanted to know. He did not say that, but I can tell you that I know there were some people I saw with my own 2 eyes who did make it off of that boat. They were walking off into the parking lot with other family members who were waiting. They were drenched, of course, but how many, I do not know. So we just don't know how many people that they're still looking for.
So a question still to be answered, obviously. Okay.
All right. Crystal Blair live for us at Table Rock Late tonight with the very latest. We are going to keep following this story, and we will have much more on it coming up at Color 10 at 10 o'clock over on Color 10.
25 minutes from now, we're back on the air with more updates on this developing story over on Channel 10. So be sure and join us for now. We're in the studio for Color 10 News. Thanks for watching.
So that is the good news, that we don't have to deal with that. But to me, this is just, my heart bleeds for people who were on vacation. I can't wrap my mind around. I'm trying not to think about it now because I got to do the news, but my prayers are with those people.
Did you dial in already? Yeah.
They're 8. Oh.
Action first, I think. Yes. Okay.
And now from KOLR 10, breaking news.
We begin with breaking news in Stone County. We are showing you video of the scene when a boat capsized, a Ride the Ducks boat capsized on Table Rock Lake earlier this evening.
This video was shot by the family member of a KOLR 10 employee who just happened to be on a tour tonight over on the showboat Branson Belle. We should mention the person you saw there on the gurney was breathing there at the scene, and you see people being attended to there by the crews that were trying to rescue people who were affected by this. We know 31 people were on board. There are 8 people confirmed dead tonight. Good evening. We're glad to have you joining us, and thank you for staying with us as we try to get the details and make sense of this horrific tragedy that's unfolding on Table Rock Lake in the Ozarks tonight.
Still very much unfolding at this 10 o'clock hour as well. Our Crystal Blair has been live on the scene this evening, and she joins us now with an update.
Well, Heather and David, we just heard from Stone County Sheriff Doug Rader, and he did confirm that 8 people are dead. 31 were on that Ride the Ducks boat, and he did say this time that he believes that it was because of the high winds that boat capsized. 7 people have been injured. We don't know the extent of those injuries. We do know that 3 of them were under the age of 18, and they were taken to Cox Branson Hospital. Now, this word is for family members who want to know where their loved ones are. They have opened the Branson City Hall. This next person that you're going to see was actually on the showboat Branson Belle. His name is, the last name is Bear. I do know that. Can't remember the first name, but he witnessed people being pulled from the boat. This is what he had to say.
For me, it was kind of like a fight or flight thing. So I immediately wanted to go and help and fight because I am a pre-med student and I want to do that later in my life. So I'm like, we need to do something to try to save her. So I went down there and I tried to get everyone, and then other people were like, okay, let's go. And we got her up there, but it's just another experience. It's out of this world. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, you see it. Yeah.
Now, we do know from Sheriff Rader that some of those on the boat were children. He would not confirm if any of those children are among the deceased, but we also know that that Ride the Ducks boat is still in Table Rock Lake, capsized. It has sunk, and the Western Taney County dive teams, I should say, are still searching for people. So right now, we don't know if it's recovery or rescue.
And in fact, Crystal, stay with us. We're going to keep you around and maybe check back later in the show. We were just talking before about the fact that Western Taney County dive teams are out there in that water, and we don't know how long they're going to be able to stay out there tonight. Obviously, the water's going to get dark anyway at a certain point down there, but you've got nightfall now, and so we're not sure how late they're going to be out there
And want to mention again that at least 8 people are dead, 7 injured, and taken to area hospitals. And that's where we want to go next as well, to Cox Branson. Our Bria Douglas is live on the scene for us right now in that area.
And several folks went there tonight for treatment, right, Bria?
That's right, David and Heather. I'm standing outside of the hospital right now, where I'm joined by communications coordinator Caitlin McConnell. Caitlin, what can you tell us about the patients who are being treated here tonight?
Well, the information is kind of coming in gradually, but right now we know that there are 7 patients who are being treated right here in the emergency department. We don't know the conditions exactly in all of them, but we do know that 2 of them are in critical condition, and it's kind of a mix of adults and children under 18.
And do we know if all of the victims are related, or are these separate cases?
You know, honestly, I cannot comment on that at this time, just simply because I don't know. Information is kind of coming into us gradually on that.
And you said that there are 2 in critical condition. Is that new information? Because last we heard there were minor injuries involved.
That is an update I just heard. I don't know if those are patients who've just come in or if that was an updated status.
And do we know ages or genders or anything like that?
We know that there are a few of them that are under 18, but as far as the actual breakdown, I don't have that information right now.
And how are they emotionally doing? Does staff know yet?
You know, that's something that I don't have a report for you about that. I'm sure that today was a very traumatic experience for everyone involved, and I am confident that our staff are really working with these patients to make them feel as comfortable as they possibly can right now.
And do you know if any of the patients who are being treated will be released tonight, or when any of them will be released?
That is unclear. It will depend on their individual situation.
And what's next for these patients?
I guess it really depends on the condition that they end up being diagnosed with in the end. If there is care that's warranted, we can transfer them certainly to Springfield, to Cox South, or treat them here, whatever is most appropriate for that each individual case.
All right, David and Heather, that was Caitlin McConnell with Cox Health Hospital. As you heard, 7 people are being treated here. 2 of them are in critical condition. As we learn more information about the condition of the patients here, we will bring you the latest. For now, live in Branson, Bria Douglas, Color 10 News, Ozarks First.
All right, Bria, stay where you are, because we may check back with you again later in this broadcast. So again, the headline tonight, the Ride the Ducks boat capsized, 8 people dead. You heard right there, 7 being treated right now. We're still waiting for word on about the other 16 people out of the 31 confirmed on board that tour boat tonight.
Also want to mention, Sheriff Doug Rader also said that a Stone County Sheriff's deputy was on the boat when this happened and was helping rescue people and getting people to safety. Yeah. We know that some people did make it out okay, and they are safe. Again, the 16 still unaccounted for do include some of those people, so we're still working to get that information too. But
and the sheriff, in fact, also saying that we should mention that the sheriff deputy who was on board was there providing some security.
Yes.
They do that sometimes as a routine thing. Nothing special tonight. They do that when they're off duty, provide security for other agencies. We talked about the fact that the sheriff has said in his latest press conference tonight that the boat likely capsized because of the weather. We've brought Jamie in a couple of times. We're going to do that once again right now, because we want you to talk us through what was going on down there about 7 o'clock tonight in that general vicinity of Table Rock.
Well, at the time that this occurred, there was a line of severe storms that was moving across that area, and this is some great video. And look at the wave action that's being generated by these winds. It may be tough to see how strong those winds were, but you can see some of the whitecaps generated by winds that were probably 55 to 65 miles per hour blowing across that area. We experienced this strong wind here in Springfield. Well, when it got down to the lake, it generated some very, very rough conditions on that water. And you can see as we pan over I believe we're going to be able to see a boat there just rocking. And I believe probably what happened was as the winds generated those waves, this boat probably began to rock, and at some point it began to take on some water, and then once it began to get weighted down by not only the number of people on the boat, but also the water, that's probably when it began to sink.
All right.
That's impressive. I mean, when you see that water moving like that, you know.
Puts it into perspective.
Well, you go out on the lake, and you go out on the lake a lot of times. It's just smooth as glass, or not bad at all. I mean, if there's some wind, there's usually some light wave action. But I mean, that was pretty rough, especially that first piece of video that we showed you. I mean, you could actually see some of the very large waves that were generated by those strong winds.
We want to get to some other video now too. Our one of the KOLR10 employees had a relative on the Branson Bell showboat, which was not involved in this, but it is the same dock. And this is video that she was able to get right after this happened. And you see people, as we mentioned, 16 unaccounted for. Here's some of the people who were able to make it to safety.
Yeah, and we keep saying 16 unaccounted for, and you're seeing some people being treated right there. We don't know if the people you see there were among those taken to Cox Branson. If some of those people, as Crystal Blair mentioned earlier, she saw people leaving the scene going out to their cars as though they were rescued and they were okay to go about their business and go to their hotel or go home or whatever. So those are questions we're still trying to answer tonight, but we got that video there from the scene there shortly after this happened from the family member of a KOLR10 employee who was there tonight. So we're going to keep moving along here and talk more about the fact that this is developing. We're trying to get information. Things kind of spread like wildfire. At one point we've heard all kinds of different stories being spread on social media tonight about what happened down there, but we do know the boat capsized. 8 people are dead, 7 are at Cox Branson, and we're still waiting on word and to find out how long the dive teams are going to be out there in that water as well tonight.
That's right. And of course, this all is believed to have happened from the storms that moved through earlier this evening, and that was widespread across the Ozarks. We had storm damage across the Ozarks as well, and want to show you some video from that. Scenes like this.
Yeah, this is over at Lone Pine and Seminole, which, as you know, is kind of an area of town with some older homes and a lot of really mature trees over there. So you get those kind of winds coming through, and you're going to see trees toppled over, and you see power lines. Those may even be cable lines there, but you've got lines that are down there in that area over there near Lone Pine and Seminole. And also, Heather, you've got more video to share with us.
Yeah, trees littered the Roundtree neighborhood. Heavy winds stronger than about 70 miles per hour from what we're understanding caused this. And again, this is near Walnut and Fremont in the downtown area, just splicing some of these trees.
We also want to show you a picture of a building over near the Bruco downtown. The storms there blew the roof off there, folded it up, if you will. Another building being remodeled into some apartments is what you're seeing here, and this is over in the 500 block of West McDaniel. So, you're probably seeing it on your social media feeds where you are tonight. A lot of people are posting various trees down in their neighborhoods, power lines down. And in fact, we've talked a little bit about some of the power outages. We'll have those numbers. Well, here we're going to share it with you right now. That's the CU map. And purple is 1 to 50 customers in an area, yellow is 50 to about 500, orange is 500 up to 1,000. So you see a lot of pockets there with a relatively low number of people affected, but still some high pockets there too.
And as we bring you this weather coverage tonight, we actually received a lot of calls, and this is the co-op as well that we want to show you the power outages here.
Yeah, and so you see Taney County is going to have a lot of power outages down there. Stone is going to have quite a few. Christian's got quite a few. Not as many co-op members in Greene County affected in terms of power loss right now. But again, that's the members of the electric co-ops that are affected by storm-related power outages tonight.
And all of this caused by strong winds that came through the Ozarks. And we actually heard the tornado sirens going off in several places across the Ozarks, but it wasn't a tornado warning. Can you explain why that happens?
And it may have been a bit confusing. I know I've seen this happen one other time since I've been here at KOLR10, and that goes back to 2011. Anytime that we get really strong winds. Something a little bit more extreme than the run-of-the-mill severe thunderstorm that comes through that generates, maybe a 60-mile-per-hour gust. Anytime we're expecting winds upwards of 75 miles per hour or greater, emergency management officials will go ahead and sound the sirens, because there is a concern with winds of that intensity that you could get tornado-like damage, and it would be very dangerous for folks to be outside. We saw the photos of trees down, power lines down. That's just here in Springfield. There are other areas that saw that as well, and it's that concern of the danger of those winds, the excessive nature of those winds, that prompts them to go ahead and sound the sirens, because even though those winds weren't caused by tornadoes, those winds still caused a lot of damage that could have posed an extreme amount of danger to lives across the Springfield area.
And of course, we want to let you know that we have a photo gallery as well at ozarksfirst.com. Some of your pictures that you have been sending to us, thank you for that. Keep sending them. We will continue to update our web story as well. You can share your pics with us. Just email them or send them to our KOLR 10 Facebook page.
And although we didn't get any tornadoes here in the Ozarks, north of us in Iowa, they did. Wow, several videos popping up online showing twisters near a town up there. Incredible video from our CBS affiliate around the Des Moines area showing twisters moving through a neighborhood there, and they're very well-defined tornadoes. You can see there on your screen doing a lot of damage up there that is reminiscent of some very serious storms we've seen here in the Ozarks.
And there were multiple tornadoes as well. This one shows a tornado just ripping through homes, and you can see the debris just flying around in the air. A very scary situation for people living there. And finally, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the storm damage from these storms as well. We have some more video to get through. Houses
Obviously just being torn apart there. We're going to show you some video of cars that are, well, maybe not right now, but the cars on top of each other there. Just very serious to our north in Iowa. So obviously a severe weather system that rolled through and affected much of the Midwest. And I didn't mean to make you carry the show. I was checking the Southern Stone County Fire District.
Do we have an update?
Well, I was looking at their Facebook page. They've been posting updates on Table Rock and what's happening there on their Facebook page. Nothing new on Table Rock, but they are working a structure fire. Boy, bless their hearts down there in Southern Stone County. They've got a structure fire right now, and so they're a busy night for Southern Stone County.
And it has been a busy night for news and weather here in the Ozarks as well. So keep it here. We will have more with Jamie Warner and what we can expect throughout the evening hours with the weather. Keep it here. to get to some more weather coverage for you right now. Take a look at this time-lapse video of the quick-moving storms that rolled in through the Ozarks this afternoon. This was actually shot on a GoPro by our photojournalist Eric Reedus, and boy, just some nasty-looking clouds.
Yeah, the wind front that came through, Jamie, was pretty intense, and even the winds behind the front. Am I saying that right? Was it a front?
We call it a gust front. I mean, it's a type of front. And what was pretty incredible in that video that we saw was, I mean, that's a shelf cloud, but that was a very, very intense, if I can say it that way, shelf cloud that was moving into the Springfield area. Many locations around Springfield, and especially south and southeast of Springfield, saw that very scene. And of course, as that arc of clouds moves over your area, that's when the winds begin to pick up. Here's a look at a loop of today's active weather, and it started off up near Lake of the Ozarks. We had some severe storms up there, generating a bit of wind damage around Camdenton, probably in the Lake of the Ozarks area as well. Then we had a little bit of a lull, and then new storms began to fire up near Kansas City and drop south. St. Clair County was hit hard next. Areas between Lowry City and Collins, south of Osceola, there was a little stretch in there where there was quite a bit of wind damage, numerous trees down, and I'm going to be curious to see if maybe that wasn't the result of a weak tornado, because that storm at the time, it did exhibit supercell characteristics, and there was rotation evident on radar in the exact same location where that tree damage occurred. Then that storm made its way south into Springfield. The west side of town was much weaker by that point and faded away. And then we had this line of severe storms barreling southeast across the area, generating the wind damage. That line of severe storms is called a progressive derecho. It is a short squall line that generates a widespread area of intense winds and wind damage. And here are some of the reported winds here in Springfield, out at the airport. As that line made its way toward the Springfield area, we had a peak gust of 74 miles per hour measured at the National Weather Service office. By the time that line got to the downtown airport here close to KOLR10, winds had subsided somewhat with that part of the line. We had a gust up to 46 miles per hour. Battlefield, a gust over 50 miles per hour. Mount Vernon, about 60 miles per hour. Branson West, 52 miles per hour. And at the Branson Airport, close to where that capsizing incident occurred, we had a wind gust of 63 miles per hour measured. Now here's a peek at radar right now. Things have quieted down. The severe weather threat, I think, is over with for tonight, but the threat, or chance I should say, because we need the rainfall for showers and thunderstorms, will continue. It'll be sort of widely scattered, but it will continue overnight tonight, probably till almost sunrise tomorrow. Here's the last of the severe storms now moving out of the area. Here locally, this is a peek at that line of severe storms as it made its way into the Springfield area. This was between 6 and 6:30 that line approached from the northwest. And this is what I was watching before that line made its way into Greene County. You see that surge, that bulge in the line right there. That was indicative of very strong winds developing and pushing out away from that line of storms. And that's what made its way into the Springfield area. And this is what it looked like on radar in terms of the wind energy. And you could see that line of very strong winds moving across the area from northwest to southeast. Radar at the time was estimating winds of maybe 70 to 80 miles per hour. Now, that was a little above the surface, but a lot of that wind energy did make its way all the way down to the surface, doing the wind damage that we saw here in the Springfield area. And you can see along that corridor where that squall line moved from northwest to southeast, numerous reports of strong winds and wind damage. Now, as I mentioned, it looks like overnight tonight we'll run that risk for additional scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. You can see them bubbling up here. And the reason why is because a boundary has been left behind, and as air tries to move up and over that shallow layer of air near the surface, it's going to continue to generate that possibility for showers and thunderstorms. And our severe weather threat does not end with this evening storms. There will be a threat for severe storms tomorrow afternoon across southern Missouri and in northern Arkansas. Probably not as widespread as this evening, but we'll have to keep tabs on it. Looks like hail and high winds will be a possibility. And ahead of those storms, some very hot temperatures. Joplin hit 102 degrees this afternoon. That's the first time this year. I think there is a slight chance that here in Springfield, if we get enough sun tomorrow, we could hit 100 here. The chances for that are more likely down towards Branson and south into Arkansas. And then after that, we should see a quiet pattern setting up for the weekend. Lower humidity, temperatures a lot easier to take. but it's going to be dry, and that's bad news. We need the rain. It looks like it's going to stay dry from this weekend deep into next week.
And what's our Viewers Club number?
That number tonight is 137-982. Our jackpot stands at $700.
All right, Jamie, thanks. We're going to go back down live to Crystal Blair and Bria Douglas in Branson for an update on the Ride the Ducks capsized boat that has turned deadly tonight after this.
Oh, did you hang up?
Yeah, I did.
She exited. She got hung up.
Okay, that one's busy.
Is it busy?
Yeah.
All right, try it again.
Okay, I'm on IFB 3. It's ringing. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Back to our breaking news tonight of the Ride the Ducks boat that has turned deadly on Table Rock Lake. We know that 8 people are dead. Excuse me. Our Crystal Blair is live on the scene for us tonight. Crystal, go ahead and recap what has happened.
Well, Heather, you're right. This is a terrible tragedy here at the Branson Bell in Stone County. We just got an update, or maybe 15 minutes ago, from Sheriff Doug Rader, who tells us that, yes, 8 people who were on that Ride the Ducks boat that capsized on Table Rock Lake are confirmed dead. 7 were injured and taken to Cox Branson Hospital, not sure of their condition yet. We also know that there are children who were on board that boat, but we don't know if any children are among the fatalities. There was also a sheriff's deputy on board the boat, and we understand that that is a procedure that happens sometimes for security, and he was there to help in the rescue. So fortunately, there were some people who made it out alive. We don't know how many people are still unaccounted for, though, but we were told just a few moments ago by Sheriff Rader that the Western Taney County dive team, they're out there right now. The boat is still in the water, and right now we don't know how long they're going to be there, but we're assuming that this effort is going to go on probably into the early morning hours. Now, if you are a person who is missing a loved one, they have set up a post at the Branson City Hall where you can go, and they will be giving information there. Live in Stone County, Crystal Blair, Color 10 News, Ozarks First.
We should mention as well, I've seen some other notices about this being put out. The authorities that are working that scene right now are begging people to not come by, don't drive by, don't gawk. A lot of people are curious. They don't need extra vehicles and people down there in that scene right now. And Crystal, you said we don't know how late that dive team's going to stay out, right?
That is correct. The sheriff says that this could go on until the wee hours of the morning. Of course, the only good thing out of this, if there is anything, is that the weather has calmed down a lot. So this is going to give them the opportunity to be out there as long as they need to so that the family members can get some answers.
And Crystal, you mentioned that 7 people were sent to the hospital as well, and we actually want to go there now to Cox Branson. That's where Color 10's Bria Douglas is for us tonight with an update on the condition of those in the hospital.
Yeah, obviously they're being treated there in the emergency room. Bria, I know you talked to Caitlin McConnell, who's the spokeswoman for Cox here in Springfield and obviously the Cox system, giving you an update. What do you know at this point?
David, we know that 7 patients are being treated here at the hospital with 2 in critical condition. The rest have minor injuries. We don't know the identities of these victims or if they're all related or when they will be released from the hospital. We also don't know the nature of the injuries. But what I can tell you is that it's been a very busy night for staff here at the hospital, but I've been told that they trained for these mass casualty situations, so they were prepared for tonight's event. So everyone is just very hopeful that the patients here will be okay. It's a bit emotional day, as you can imagine.
We can also report earlier that we had spoken with another Cox spokeswoman who used to be a Color 10 employee who now works down in Branson, who had mentioned that and we're not going to give numbers because I think we're getting conflicting information, but she did mention they do have some patients there, and I think Caitlin told you the same thing, who are indeed under the age of 18, right?
Yes, initially I was told at least 3 patients were under the age of 18. They don't know if that number has changed or not, but that's word that we got originally, that there were 3 patients under the age of 18, and we don't know the condition of their injuries.
All right, Bria Douglas on the story for us at Cox Branson in Branson right now. Thank you so much for the update.
Yeah, we're going to have some sports news coming up for you, so stay right there.
Now Sports with Matt Vereen.
Before the St. Louis Cardinals kicked off the second half of the season in Chicago, interim manager Mike Schilt named former Springfield manager Ron Warner as his new bench coach. So the Springfield Heavy Cardinals look to turn things around starting tonight in Chicago. Started well for St. Louis. Top second, already 1-0. Make it 2. Tommy Pham. Solo shot to left. His 14th long ball of the year doubles the Cardinal advantage. Momentum shifted after that. Bottom fifth, 4-3 Chicago. Ian Happ with a 2-run shot. His 11th of the season puts the Cubs up 6-3. Next inning, Matt Carpenter going to pull one back for St. Louis. 20th home run of the year, third straight game with a home run, but not enough as Chicago gets the win in this one. Springfield also in action tonight. Cards took a 4-game winning streak down to Arkansas. Doesn't look like that's going to get to 5, though. They dropped the series opener to the Travelers 10-4. Game 2 of the series set for tomorrow night at 7:10. Kansas City Chiefs are just 2.5 weeks away from starting minicamp in St. Joseph. That means the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, is gearing up for the season as well. Holthus was in Springfield earlier today talking to fans at the Fork and Spoon restaurant. Of his 22 years as the Chiefs play-by-play announcer, he says this year's Chiefs offense has him more excited than any before.
It's the best group of offensive players that I've seen in my brief 25 years of being the voice of the Chiefs. When you add a Sammy Watkins to go with a Tyreek Hill, who's the fastest player in the league, to arguably the most explosive tight end in Travis Kelce, to the NFL's rushing champion returning in Kareem Hunt.
World Team Tennis, Springfield Lasers stuck inside tonight against the New York Empire. 18-year-old Miomir Kekmanovic using a nice drop shot here, then sends a cross-court winner into the corner. He takes his single set 5-4. Women's doubles, Vanya King serving it up. Abigail Spears right there for the volley. They drop the set 5-4. And in men's doubles, Lasers in the far court, Daniel Nestor going to come through with a beautiful lob shot into the back corner. Lasers winning a super tiebreaker, 23-22. So a 2-0 home start for the Lasers.
Okay, Matt, thanks.
And we will be right back with brand new video from the Ride the Ducks incident that happened on Table Rock Lake after this.
Here are tonight's winning lottery numbers.
Continuing our breaking news coverage tonight, where at least 8 people have died, 7 taken to the hospital in a Ride the Ducks boat that had capsized on Table Rock Lake earlier this evening.
What you're seeing here is new video that has been shared on Facebook by many, many people tonight. It has been viewed by many, many people tonight on social media. This is purported to be the Ride the Ducks boat. As you can see, it's on Table Rock Lake tonight. It was taking on water. It was having a tough time in the high waves and the rough winds that came through with the storm at about 7 o'clock tonight. Again, that purported to be the boat that was involved in the capsizing event there that has led to at least 8 fatalities. It has sent 7 people to the hospital. There are 16 who we can say are unaccounted for because we haven't been given official word at this point as to where those folks are, what their condition is. We know Crystal Blair on the scene said she saw some people who were involved in this capsizing of the boat who did receive treatment on the scene and walked away. Those people would be in that number of 16 that I keep going back to. But we do know that Western Taney County dive teams, at last report from the sheriff, were in the water still searching for potential victims of this tragedy.
And we also heard from our Bria Douglas, who is at Cox Branson at the hospital there, reporting that 7 people were taken to the hospital. We know 2 of them are in critical condition. At least 3 of the injured are under the age of 18 as well. This is a story that is still developing and one that we will continue to be following.
Yeah, a lot still to unfold on this story. We would urge you to use caution as you go through your social media feeds tonight and rely on facts to get the story and not conjecture in this story, because obviously there's a loss of life tonight, as the Southern Stone County Fire Protection District is in fact calling this a mass casualty incident there on Table Rock Lake tonight. We're going to have much more for you coming up tomorrow as what we know to be the facts in this case, coming up at 5 a.m. on KOLR 10 News Daybreak.
And we will be joining Stephen Colbert in progress right now. Thanks for watching.